Welcome to your week ahead forecast, and with it, it's the entry point into June. This episode marks the threshold into a new month, and unlike maybe some recent intensity, June opens with a softer, a more inviting rhythm. And some of the biggest aspects of the month are on the horizon, and they bring momentum instead of mayhem. So, this is the week that gently guides you into that shift, and this is the episode that will explain how. Think of it as a hand holding moment before June truly reveals its gifts. Welcome to the Horoscope Vault, a podcast that explores the world through the lens of astrology, with a view to supporting you through life's ups and downs and helping you make more confident decisions along the way. I'm Charlie, an associate member of the American Federation of Astrologers and astrology reader for award-winning radio's The Bob and Sherry Show. If you're looking around to discover what this week ahead brings, this is the episode for you. So, Wednesday, the 4th of June, is really the first point to bring attention to. That doesn't mean there's nothing of Monday and Tuesday. Often, the days prior to an aspect show kind of hints of build-up. But it's on Wednesday, June 4th, that Venus in Aries forms a sextile to Jupiter in Gemini, with both of the planets at 28 degrees of their respective signs. And it's this exact degree alignment that creates a mathematical relationship across the zodiac wheel. It's almost like they're looking sideways towards one another. Both planets are on the same side of a situation, and they bring their distinct qualities with some mutual cooperation. Venus at 28 degrees of Aries carries the theme of trusting your process, and its keynote is survival. This is especially interesting if you've been listening to the show on and off, or if you've caught any of the recent episodes. You'll maybe remember that there is another planet currently hovering in the only other survival themed degree in the entire zodiac. So there are only 2 degrees on the zodiac wheel that carry the survival keynote, and both are being activated right now. One of the survival degrees is in the early degrees of Aries, and the other one is at the very end few degrees of Aries. And so, if you're wondering why or how, out of 360 degrees, it happens that Aries hosts both of the survival degrees, it's because Aries is the sign of initiation, it's a sign of instinct, it's the sign of the most raw life force. It's where new cycles begin, it's where survival is not optional, survival is essential. Aries energy, no matter whether it's your sun placement, your moon placement, your Venus placement, any planet in Aries does not wait for permission. It moves, it chooses, and then it acts. And it's really kind of this starter codon energy that gets things going. So naturally, if there's any degree of survival or more, it comes from the initiative point of Aries. It makes sense for this sign to represent both kinds of survival. And those two kinds of survival are, number one, the pure, kind of incorruptible flame. You know, when you stay in your lane and you do right for yourself, this is survival at the early degrees. And then later in the sign, there's this discerning fire happening at the end of Aries. It's this collected experience and collected information during the process of initiation that you have on board, and you now know where to continue burning to survive and where to pull back again to survive. So, present day time at 2 degrees of Aries, we have Neptune, echoing the frequency of spiritual survival. This is that early degree of your ability to remain pure, to remain uncorrupted during chaotic situations or within difficult conditions. This kind of survival colors the next few months and some of the earlier months of next year. It's a very long time ongoing matter because of slow moving Neptune holding in this degree. And it's all about not becoming a bad egg in a bad environment, which could be expected. You know, the nature nurture discussion where sometimes people are just understood as being a product of their environment, even if that environment is some difficult conditions. However, the true value of Neptune in the survival degree is to not succumb to the dark side. But Neptune is really a quiet force this week. It's not forming any major aspects. It's not really a big player in this week's episode. It's just an honorary mention, simply because it's still there humming in the background like a moral compass. And it's supporting the other survival energy that's being activated. And so if the heaviness of persisting through a tough time is relatable to you, then that makes a lot of sense given the hefty focus on rising above, transcending and pushing through something. But looking at the actual aspect that this week happens to activate the more endurance kind of survival focus, this is Venus at 28 degrees of Aries, representing a totally different kind of survival. This is not survival by doing the right thing during the wrong times, like Neptune is currently suggesting. But as well as that, this is an evolutionary survival through discernment and adaptability. So it's about recognizing what is fertile and what is not. It's recognizing what has the potential to evolve and what cannot, or maybe even should not, evolve for the greater good of an outcome. And so Venus is here in this degree suggesting that this is a time of identifying what is viable and valuable for your future progress. And instead of resisting natural evolution and clinging to what's become stagnant, you work on the things that have the most natural path, the most natural connection, and maybe even the least resistance. And so that's Venus playing its part now over to Jupiter in Gemini, which is the second part of this aspect. It's holding the degree of modesty with the keynote of accepting yourself. The key to helping you accept yourself and the hurdles of life and how you handle them is in part thanks to some powerful and supportive relationships that you tap into this week. So, what does that mean? It's the survival of what is fertile and what makes sense for you, plus the potential of modesty and harmony, presenting as an opportunity for you to evolve through choosing what supports your future, not just what looks good or what feels familiar. It's you being encouraged to cut ties with what's stagnant, to nurture what can naturally progress, and to do so while accepting who you are right now in the present moment. No ego inflation, just pure, innocent survival. This happens this week by surrounding yourself with people, ideas, and immersing yourself in environments that make growth feel safe, that make growth feel supported rather than questioned or even just difficult. So on Wednesday, you may connect with someone in a meeting, through a conversation or something, and it just helps you whittle down the things that you can do and that you can achieve. It's a nice little boost of morale. It offers clarity a punctuated moment of clarity where there hasn't been, much clarity of late. And it helps you feel more ready to make a decision about a relationship, about a creative project, or just a plan that you have. It's this aspect that supports choosing the clearest path of growth or the path of least resistance, but that still satisfies you. It's not about choosing the direction that causes you to step outside of your own coloring lines and to kind of overextend yourself. On Wednesday, you may encounter someone whose influence helps you accept yourself more fully. And it's not by pushing you to change. Instead, it's more like helping you see that any expression of adaptability or any unique expression that you possess is a gift. You can balance your drive, which is that Venus in Aries energy, with communication and mental openness, thanks to Jupiter in Gemini. And this is not, brute force endurance. It's intelligent, responsive movement towards what thrives for you, and really letting go of what no longer has that fertile ground. So by Wednesday, it may feel easier to drop something, to drop someone, to drop anything, with the encouragement that it means nothing other than you are meeting yourself in a point of closer alignment. So, as well as meetings and conversations that boost your mood and drive, Wednesday could be a great time for weddings and parties and social gatherings and ceremonies and just pleasant times with friends and others. It's favorable for romantic getaways. It's favorable for taking any kind of trip because Jupiter elevates Venus. And if you've ever considered a reading, given the affirmative energy of this aspect, Wednesday might just be the perfect day for it. And if the stars have aligned so that you have some time on Wednesday and you have the desire to learn more about yourself and your future and your path of least resistance, the link to explore the reading options is in the show notes below. So then on to Thursday, the 5th of June, Mercury in Gemini sextiles to Mars in Leo, each at 23 degrees and something like 42, 41, 42 minutes. And this specific Mercury-Mars combination is a very good time for mental work, as I talk about being down to the most minute detail. But this suggests access to sharp mental focus. It's the ability to make a clear distinction and create some kind of clarity out of some recent chaos. So you could feel an increase in energy, like much, much more energy than usual. And of late, you're capable of working long hours, getting a lot done. Maybe you take on some extra work. Maybe you put in some overtime. And physical exercise is a worthy mention. It's actually favored, especially if you find yourself suffering from any kind of nervous anxiety type of overwhelm. Thursday almost indicates the needing of a physical outlet for excessive energy that is not spent. But of course, if you're a busy bee and you do expend a lot of energy anyway, then don't go too far by tagging some strenuous exercise on top. It's just simply that if there is some restlessness left in your body come Friday, then you might want to express that through going for a jog, doing an at-home workout circuit, or some extra vigorous cleaning chore. Mercury's degree meaning is the discipline to maintain a pure state, the expression of disciplined caution. It's all about measured, intentional communication and action, and holding a standard in how you think and speak and interact. And then Mars is in the degree of excess. So one possibility is that you're being called to move, act, or expend energy more than usual. Maybe you just need to get your heart rate going, a little bit more movement, circulation, pumping, perhaps even to the point of slight discomfort. So if you are not a runner, a jog might be, uncomfortable but beneficial. It's action and spending energy in order to preserve your internal or external purity. So in this case, discipline does not mean restraint, it means extra. It means more than usual. It means above and beyond. It means purposeful, embodied action in pursuit of clarity, which does suggest that the more you move your body or the more that you proceed through your steps and take action, then the more clear things become. The more clearly you see things, and stuff that didn't make sense starts to make sense the more you move your body. But that's just one interpretation. Other possibilities include actively removing something that is impure or distracting, getting rid of clutter, noise, temptation, energy draining things, energy draining people. The excess part might also indicate that you say more than you normally would. You use your voice, you use your presence to clear the air, to set boundaries, to release pent up tension. I just have the image of screaming, actually, screaming into the void at this point. It's the sensation of pushing and pushing through resistance, not because it's ideal to do so, because it's not. It's just that the act of pushing is really what brings focus and alignment after the fact. Think about it this way. It's like using excessive motion or intensity as a form of purification, which is just like sweating it out. It's like sweating something out, speaking something out, and just burning through distortion. And in any case, the message just seems to be about how purity isn't passive. Actually, purity is quite an active and conscious state that always requires more and more. And so on Thursday, it may require more of you than usual. So get your plan of action together and then go hard into that action. Channel all the excess Mars energy, not into random output, but into a refined goal. And on a technicality, all signs have access to more energy right now, especially Leo, except for Virgo. That Virgo energy is the most tired and the most in need of rest, with a close second being Taurus and Cancer. But in general, this is the type of moment that's fleeting and temporary, yes. But no matter your sign, you can pull up your socks and get on with it. So if Mercury is about finalizing the blueprint, spend the next few days doing so, and then Mars brings the muscle on Thursday. This sextile says that if you want to achieve while maintaining purity of intention or space or mind, if you want to quite modestly evolve and just become the next level up version of yourself, it's going to take movement, possibly more than you're used to, but it will be effective and worthwhile. The final day to look at this week is Sunday, 8th of June. And all I want to do is talk about Jupiter moving into Cancer, which happens on Monday, the 9th of June, but that's me getting carried away. This wonderful ingress is particularly wonderful because Jupiter in Cancer is an amazing combination. And if you don't know why, if you didn't catch the episode sharing the 5 biggest dates in June that are worth marking down in your calendar or diary, then I've included the link to that episode in the show notes below. But right before the June 9th phenomenon that I've certainly been waiting for, happening on Sunday the 8th, we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter in Gemini. And it's like Mercury connecting with Jupiter as Jupiter gets ready to leave Gemini is this ceremonial showing of the door. It's like saying, here, let me get the door for you so that the door doesn't hit you on your way out. It is welcoming Jupiter to leave Gemini. And you might not know it, but you are quite possibly feeling very much over this Jupiter in Gemini transit, which has been around a year long. And you're over it because all it did was confuse details and obscure opinion. And it made staying logical a little bit more difficult. So Mercury says farewell and see you next time, which next time is actually going to be in 12 years. And so Mercury conjuncts Jupiter at a critical 29 degrees with a message to honor your extremes. It says that you don't need to tone yourself down. Your intensity or your air quote extremes, they're not flaws, they are inherently correct for you. As a living, breathing person in this current day and age, accept your inner intensity as natural. It is not something to hide. So when Mercury and Jupiter are conjunct in this degree of influence, this can look like you turning a trait that you usually hide into the main driver behind all that you do. And it's usually the extreme things and the intelligent things about you that help you attract your correct people. And you can use your intensity, your unique intensity, to educate, to write, to guide other people without toning yourself down. Because what is needed is energy in genuine form, and that's really when it's received most correctly. By the weekend, I would expect a big news drop, some kind of major press release, a public statement, a media reveal, especially tied to technology, education, politics, surprise, surprise, publishing, and social media. So somebody shares a bold opinion, maybe a truth comes out, and it shifts the public conversation. Yeah, some kind of bold message that gains traction, maybe in the form of a tweet, a video, something going viral. Not because it's controversial, but because it's unusually honest. It's unusually clever, or it's just very, very powerfully framed. The week ends on this glorious Mercury Jupiter conjunction note, and it's a bitter sweet end to the struggles of Jupiter in Gemini, where it would have been nice if progress was easier this last year than life actually becoming more confusing, but there's some kind of blessing in that confusion somewhere. Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday might bring you an invitation, an offer, a connection, just by you saying the right thing at the right time. It's a conversation that opens a door. Maybe a mentor reaches out, maybe a proposal gets accepted, maybe someone finally responds to something that you've been just waiting to hear back on. This is when ideas click into place. A plan you've been mentally circling suddenly snaps into clarity. And the potential winds up being bigger than you thought. It's a great time to publish a book, to launch a blog, to start a plan, to launch a podcast, to drop a new product, to give a public talk. And it's also usually a great time for negotiations, to use your brain to the max. Intellectual subjects and topics are really favored during this time. And then later on Sunday, Mercury enters Cancer, which is going to have its own episode. That's not for today. I really wanted the basis of this week to be about the biggest aspects, and what that has brought us is the understanding that this week is all about survival through clarity. The week encourages you to cut what is stagnant, to focus on what is naturally progressing, what's naturally viable. You know, the things that progress with ease anytime you do it, the things that people come to you for naturally. These experiences indicate the strengths that are currently able to bring you more than just survival. They'll bring you stability if you work on them. So following the signs of the universe, or following the signs of society, you know, what people call out of you, or where the path is most clear. And then the week moves through some supportive conversations and social connections that play a key role in helping you accept yourself more fully and reinforcing that adaptability is a strength. So pay attention in any meetings or any arranged connections, whether social, business, or otherwise. And all of this is supported by a surge of mental energy. Mercury sextile Mars, pushing you to clear clutter, set boundaries, act decisively, and just do a little bit more than you would usually do. And then by Sunday, Mercury and Jupiter meet. This critical degree amplifies a message that your critical experiences, your intensity, these are not problematic. These are actually the very things that make you who you are and are part of how and why you're here to be influential. as Jupiter prepares to enter Cancer on Monday. The tone shifts from scattered thinking to emotional momentum. And by the week's end, a door opens to something more nourishing, more stable, and incredibly meaningful. Each horoscope is timestamped below for your convenience. So the main theme this week for Aries and Aries rising is expressive clarity and confident connection. So the week opens up channels for bold self-expression, some meaningful conversations, and taking action on ideas that feel very personally relevant and fulfilling. Quite simply, the focus is on your voice, your courage, and how you communicate your perspective. So, this may show up in your real life by you attracting a lot of attention this week, attracting a lot of compliments just by being yourself. It's just your natural charm and likability. These things are at an all-time high. So you may attract the attention of someone that turns into a meaningful conversation that leads to an invitation to do something bigger, more publicly. This includes the direction of social media, writing, and just local networking that opens a door to broader opportunities and collaborations. This could also simply be a conversation with a sibling. The week is full of creative ideas turning into something actionable. So maybe you need a plan, a content plan, a launch plan, or some kind of bold pitch. And while you're handling all of this, of course, flirtation will come your way because of that magnetism that you are exuding. So romantic expression could become more direct and energizing. And if you've been unsure about doing something, taking action, and expressing yourself, then the transits this week give you the energy and the clarity. It's like this big green light to just go for it. Other things to expect this week: you might have a light bulb moment that ties together an opportunity with a larger vision, where you see these stepping stones as vitally important. You kind of realize that everything is conspiring to get you where you want to be. So it's the week to launch a website, to launch a newsletter, to publish a message, or just to somehow project your voice so it reaches further. And really look out for that conversation, that spark conversation that inspires travel or education or some kind of curiosity. It might even be someone saying something to you that impacts and changes your thinking. And within all of this magnetism, you just want more privacy. Everything is pulling you out of your shell. It's pulling you into action. It's putting you on this visibility platform. And you may need to counter all of that external energy, especially if you're more of an introvert type, which does exist. There are introverted Aries. Perhaps you need to knuckle down a more private practice and be more conscious with journaling and having a meaningful talk with somebody, the clear the air kind of talk that's needed. You flip the switch this week. You go from radiant and magnetic to hermit AF, where you're basically working from home, you're redecorating space, you're creating routine, and this is all about your inner mental clarity. If you've been feeling mentally scattered or you feel overly pulled outside into the real world, then grounding your thoughts in your home space is what brings stability. And a final mention of the conversations this week that give you all of these wonderful ideas and points of inspiration and kind of recognize within you the things that you already know. You already know these are great. You already know this is your direction. It's just this affirmative external recognition of that. There may be one particular conversation that turns nostalgic or emotionally revealing. This conversation may happen with a parent, a close relative, a sibling, or something. And if you've had that experience, if you're in the middle of that experience, if you know that there's some kind of family related nostalgic situation or something that's been brushed under the rug and it needs to be brushed back out. Check the links in the show notes below. There are all types of readings. A timing reading would work great for you just to look at the timeline of this development, the development of your external visibility, because as time goes on now, over the next 14 years, you will become more and more visible, and you may not even realize why. An intro into astrology reading or an in-depth astrology reading will both give you a short or long timeline of events to expect. Explore that and click the link in the show notes below. This week for Taurus, the theme of your life is private values meeting public potential. So this week highlights the difference between what you keep behind the scenes and what you're ready to build externally. And a lot of this includes or involves financial clarity, emotional grounding, and a few quiet shifts in mindset, which all begin to support more confident expression and better resource use. So, how might this show up for you? You could receive unexpected financial support, some kind of subtle boost in your self worth or in your wallet. And it may be through something spiritual, it might be a behind the scenes deal, something anonymous, a gift, or just a private job agreement kind of thing. The theme I'm really getting here is secret. There's a secret going on, there's a secret desire, and it becomes more and more tangible, and it possibly leads to bigger income, a growth in self esteem, or the development of some creative work that you've been keeping private. So, a hidden talent, and this is interesting because it could be a talent that you have that others see in you that you don't see in yourself. Or it might be a talent that people don't initially kind of identify you for. It's something that you are naturally good at that you keep private. This hidden talent could now begin generating value, money, recognition, especially if this talent is in creative, healing, food based, or writing fields. Other things to expect this week. You could initiate a home or property related decision, or this could be to do with family, and it increases your financial security when you firmly make this decision. Anything from savings to remodeling to investing to changing something to do with your living location. There's this motivation to finally take action related to money, home stability, or this deeply personal goal. And it could involve clearing out an emotional blockage that has been slowing your ability to earn or plan. There might even be a money blockage that isn't so obvious, but is silently playing as a pattern on repeat in the background. A money blockage doesn't just mean blockage to money, it is blockage to abundance in whatever form abundance is meant for you. It's a blockage to prosperity. It's even a blockage to the idea and the value of self-worth. So if there are current threads of financial opportunities, tax matters, inheritance matters, sales, purchases of a big scale, or this breakthrough idea about monetizing something that you've been sitting on, this is very much showing up for your sign. Your finances and your sense of self-worth are expanding, and this is about learning to think bigger. Even if you already experience prosperity and bigness at volume, talking about money is vital this week. This is talking about money with a partner, an advisor, talking to yourself about money, writing down notes to yourself, kind of hashing this out through your own mental, logical capacity, or booking a money reading and seeing what the last piece of the puzzle is to really open up that flow. Because this is a week for setting financial goals, it could be great for applying for funding if that's something you need, or launching a pricey, quite an expensive product or service. Part of this is going to be a shift in focus towards emails, calls, writing, marketing, interaction, networking, meeting new people, learning the ways of new people. This is updating your website and social platforms. This is re-engaging with a community, a local community or an online community. And there might be close contacts to do with contracts that bring you valuable info or new leads. And if you know you're in that headspace this week for clearer thinking and more mobility, the ability to move around a lot more, to expand on the values and the valuable things that you have so they continue attracting value. This shift can be supported with a variety of readings. It seems like the money blockage reading is the most prominent one based on your weekly horoscope. But there's a whole host of different readings too. Click the link in the show notes below and select yours. The theme of the week for Gemini and Gemini rising is to do with big moves and bigger impressions. It's all about bold communication and visible growth. And this comes to you through relationship-based momentum. This is about finding a way to be the center of attention and to use your voice, to voice your ideas and use your energy to shape everything in your life, from friendships to finances. So how could this show up this week? You may draw in some support from friends, networks, or group settings, especially in ways that benefit you, like a partnership, a collaboration, or some kind of visibility. So keep your eyes peeled this week for an opportunity to collaborate or connect with someone through a social event or an online group or shared cause. And this is a collaboration that you can go looking for. It won't naturally magnetize to you without effort, but it's there for the taking if you go and grab it. People want to align with your energy right now, especially people who see you as inspiring, but they may be too intimidated to make the first move. A new relationship, whether personal or professional, grows from more involvement, and you're kind of the one putting in, let's say, 60 to 70% of the effort, because the other 30 to 40% that the other person is bringing is built on their shyness. You know, people might be timid because you speak with more confidence and purpose than most. You're the interviewer of the zodiac. You're great at pitches and content and networking. Conversation comes easily and naturally, and that's why you may easily attract friends or just find that peers of your group, your age group, become energized and more productive whenever they're tied into a shared goal alongside you. So it's not the time for you to wait to be invited. You are supposed to initiate dialogue, spark movement, and possibly motivate others. This might begin with a situation to do with a neighbor or a close contact or a sibling that pushes you into action by saying something that sparks you to hit back with a correction. People will always notice what you say. Your words carry weight and influence and a lot more reach than usual this week. It's a great time for you to launch something under your own name. Your name needs to be the brand. If you lead a discussion, then this should be based on your opinion or something that you've been holding in. And this effect kind of spreads your perspective, your style, your message. It attracts new people, new audiences, and even more partnership opportunities. But it's not like some of the other signs that are waiting and magnetizing this to them. This is you pursuing that opportunity. And again, not waiting to be invited. So this week, start thinking about how to make your ideas pay off, like quite literally pay off. And make sure all your conversations turn towards pricing and budgeting and ways to increase your financial security, and make sure that you're getting back equal value of what you're putting in. On the note of finances, it's a great week to research purchases that have been on your mind, kind of the big purchases that you're waiting to pull the trigger on. Or it could be investing in education, like signing up for a skill building course. Practical thinking takes over, and you can use your connections to increase long-term value. And if you do find that this week seems to be you reworking an offer in your business, or reworking your resume, or understanding that you need to take the action because it's, ripe for you to pick out there. If you find that practical thinking takes over too much and you talk yourself out of things, then a reading to do with timelines might be helpful. Timeline reading gives you 3, 6, 9, 12 months of forecasts and predictions. Better yet, as you have just had a birthday, this is the Gemini birthday season, your best reading is quite possibly the solar return reading. This looks at a chapter of just 1 year from your birthday this year to your birthday of 2026, noting the themes of each season and the dates within those seasons and the events to expect on those dates. If this is the year that it all changes for you and money is a big theme, looking at your birthday year ahead, which is determined by where you spend your birthday. So, for example, you spend your 2025 birthday in Miami versus your 2025 birthday in California. Can you believe that your year ahead will look totally, completely different depending on where you were on that day? It's mind-blowing that you could almost control your life by being aware of the year ahead that you can live, determined by your birthday location of that year. I do this with a lot of in-depth personal clients that have been with me for 9+ years, where we look at their birthday for the year. I give them the 4 options. You know, if you're in Sri Lanka, this is going to look like this for the year, and your biggest issue is this, and your biggest win is this. However, if you're in Omaha, then your biggest issue is this, and your biggest gain is this. Getting to choose how your year ahead looks is an unimaginable level of control. But if your birthday has already gone, then hindsight is also valuable. Click the link in the show notes below and explore solar return readings. The theme of the week for Cancer and Cancer rising is all about how quiet, very, very hush, quiet alignment leads to more clarity. This week emphasizes behind the scenes breakthroughs, behind the scenes inner clarity, and it's all the hidden work that further strengthens your direction and self-confidence. Basically, your public results begin with the private reflection that you do this week. So how might this show up in your real life over the next few days? Someone in a position of influence might support you or praise you quietly, giving you a personal boost or a word of mouth boost in your reputation. A career opportunity, a professional compliment arrives in a very subtle way. It's like some kind of behind the scenes advocacy or the return of an unspoken favor. And it leaves you feeling more emotionally fulfilled by the things that you're working on. When you follow your instincts, when you take quiet time to realign, when you align not in the regular 9 to 5 way, when you live the pace of life based on hidden efforts. So the results of your hard work in therapy, the results of your planning, your time planning to a perfection, and the results of taking adequate rest. It's all of the small little things that make up a life that you focus on this week, and they begin to show up in how you present yourself professionally or how you are perceived. You know, the inner life is really visible in the outer life. How well you are managing the inside determines the frequency of the outside. It might be the week that you privately take care of something financial. You finally take care of something that needed to take care of, and you just get it done and it's done. End of situation. Like an inner breakthrough that helps you take action on a financial step, like setting a boundary, paying something off, negotiating your pay, or handling a money issue that you might have been avoiding. It could also be more along the lines of getting very, very clear about what is not worth your energy or time anymore, and then cutting it out. This is a powerful combination for productive solitude. So quiet planning is your theme this week that leads to solid action coming soon, most possibly when Cancer season arrives. A conversation this week or a private thought that you have, or some kind of realization, aha moment, it shifts how you approach your work, your wellness, or just your inner world. It's like an intuitive hit, an internal download, and it brings you clarity around health and daily routine or your long-term direction. You may even receive some kind of guidance through dreams, some kind of dream message. So analyze all your dreams that you remember this week because there is something in them. Instead of forcing yourself to be out there in the world and to be sociable and to be involved, force yourself into a quiet moment, because it's that quiet moment that helps solve a problem, and it's a problem that you've been stuck on. This is also the time to just start working behind the scenes on a quiet project that you tell nobody about. After a mentally foggy period, you are regaining focus, motivation, and a stronger voice step by step. Each day, each week, you feel that little bit more ready to speak up, to initiate conversations, to put your foot down, to be unapologetically yourself, and to lead with your ideas. More specifically, the ideas that mean the most to you. So if you are scattered and you have tons of ideas, like throwing spaghetti at the wall, the only ones that should stick are the ones meant for you. The ones that mean something, the ones that come from your experience, that you want others to have access to the benefits of. Talk to yourself as much as possible this week. Self-talk improves how you feel about who you are. It makes you feel clearer about who you are and what you want to express. And it's a great time to do all of that behind the scenes self-work, sprucing up anything tied to your identity and communication. And that is simply because next month is your season. And so if there were a reading ideal for you, it's going to be the solar return reading. Solar return readings can be done in two ways. They can be done before the birthday, they can be done after the birthday or during the birthday even. Before the birthday, a solar return preps you for the year ahead, and it also gives you other viable options. The solar return reading itself is a 1-year reading from the birthday of 2025 to the birthday of 2026, detailing all of the events of each season as you go through this new year chapter of your life, giving you the specific dates and the type of event to experience, whether you're going to be making a decision, something you're going to have to get through, and maybe even tools to help you make the correct decision. But this all depends on where you spend your birthday. Doing this reading in advance means that if you don't like, for example, the year ahead outcome, if you were to spend your birthday in Minnesota, it gives us a chance to explore alternative locations that are within your realm of travel. Let's say perhaps going to Boston, Massachusetts is kind of a completely different, more beneficial year ahead for you. Knowing this in advance gives you a chance to plan and almost cherry pick your year ahead. And if you can't move, if you can't travel, if you can't go anywhere, and you just want to know what to prepare for, the solar return reading has been pegged in the astrological world and the astrology literature as the most precise forecasting method. So click the link in the show notes below, explore the reading types, but I will draw your eye towards the solar return reading because that is going to be the best for you at this time. The theme of the week for Leo and Leo rising is turning vision into influence. So it's this week that connects your bigger picture inspirations with the real world application. And this comes through support from your networks. So as you're gaining momentum in life, this group connection, this community connection is giving you more and more courage to show up as more of an authority in your space. There's momentum coming and more understanding of the platform, the stage, the pillar that you're supposed to take to kind of share and expand your reach through and from. So how might this begin to show up this week? A friendship opens doors for you to do something when someone recognizes and says, you should do this. Watch out for that this week. Someone saying, you would be great at this, or you should do this. Or you may meet someone different and it may not even come from your inner friendship group. And someone inspires you to dream bigger by sharing their version of this, like how they went from this to that. And it's not going to be a straightforward someone who wakes up and is part of the 5 a.m. club. It's not going to be someone who time blocks and organizes and micromanages tasks. Their path was bigger, your path is bigger, and therefore these small details matter less. This is you reaching a grand scale dream, not through the tried and tested methods, but instead through some kind of creative, some kind of spiritual or very individualized lens. Make sure that you do things your way this week. Don't try and follow the status quo or what you read is the way to go about achieving things. This is you crafting your own, kind of crafting your own path. So this might be some kind of invitation actually to share a personal belief or share a creative idea and lap up the positive attention that you get from an audience because of it. It's a good week to make plans for long distance things, long distance travel, a long term study. This is not a short course, this is not an online self paced computer thing. This is committing to a long year plus of study. Or it's a shared creative project that you need to take international. And you may be in part sharing this experience with someone else or a group of other people. This is confidence in a team group setting. And a team group project can gain a lot of traction. So it's important to make sure that you are sharing initiative and projects and opinions, whatever this is, this beautiful thing that you're working on, via a digital platform. Because the digital platform is what will allow you to go international, which is where you want to be right now. It's almost that beyond your closed in community, the close people that you know at proximity. It's outside of those, it's a larger scale audience that you're here to cater for. So, a big message of yours, a big idea, something to do with a project, lands very, very well with your audience. This could be a launch, a post, or some other kind of announcement. People are listening to you. So, say what it is, say what you've been building towards, especially if it ties into a larger scale mission or goal. So, looking like a very high energy communication week, very high energy communication cycle. Your focus may turn inwards by around Sunday. This is the most Sundayest of Sundays that any one person could have. Your Sunday needs to be rest and research, journaling, spirituality, clearing mental clutter, and stepping back from external noise. While some other signs are over there being busy, this is not your time at the weekend to be busy. And the irony of this is when you stop on Sunday, an idea that you have or you have had, it may be new, it may be old, it incubates during your downtime. So this is a great weekend for quiet work, to not rush anything, and to kind of sit in this receptive state. Good sleep, good hygiene, good food, and let something very magical show itself. And Sunday is just a few days away, but if you cannot wait till Sunday or you want to know deeper, more information based on what it is, what direction this could be, this stuff is available to see in your personal natal chart. This is actually where it gets way more customized because your natal chart will tell me exactly what kind of stage or platform is best for you, what kind of international spread we are looking at. And if that's something you want to know, click the link in the show notes below. Check out a reading. The perfect reading for that is going to be an intro reading, a 30-minute reading, or a 75-minute reading, which are all detailed and listed below. The theme of the week for Virgo and Virgo rising: emotional depth, any kind of depth, going down rabbit holes, is what helps you make smarter moves and actually more money. You go between being comfortable with visibility and non-visibility. Sometimes it's okay and comfortable to be seen. Sometimes it's way too vulnerable and messy. which is a challenge in sharing your talents and presenting offers, consulting, helping, mentoring. But one thing is always for sure: if the situation, the subject, and the topic is taboo, if it's deep, it will benefit you. It will bring you profit. Now, how do you do that? How do you tap into that as someone who goes between hermit mode and, you know, not extrovert, but public facing mode? How do you do that if you are somebody who tends to even the most minute of details, of which there are thousands and thousands and thousands, always and always and always? And the volume of these smaller decisions are what sometimes prevent you from having the time to go deep. And so this week, this might show up as somebody who has your back, somebody who advocates for you, somebody who says, hey, you are doing too much. It's possible that a family member or an authority figure, somebody who cares for you, can help you let go of attachments, this dependency attachment to information and organization, which you're very proficient with. This other person helps you see how your professional goals align more quickly and clearly when somebody else is there and available to take care of the insignificant details or the repetitive details or the things that can in some way be automated. Which brings me to a lot of the theme for you this week. It brings me back around to that planning and reflection. I want you to sit and think about the things in your life that are almost timeable by a calendar or clock. They happen on repeat. And use technology to explore how to automate those. A decision you make in organization to outsource or delegate somehow, whether to a person or to AI, to an app. That decision made now can utterly reshape your direction. It frees you to start using your natural intuition and depth more, which is usually locked away behind logic. And by middle to end of the week, you may have some freedom to work on a professional pitch, an offer, a statement, something that's an inner conviction, something that's been a hidden frustration to not be able to work on. You get more time for that. And there might even be a big pitch, a big idea or decision landing very strongly this week in this kind of go public moment. And this is just to say that your professional voice gains visibility. Consider joining any Reddit groups, any regular in-person, local community groups. Or maybe this is something that shows up within a team project, like a work team project. A group think tank brainstorming meeting kind of situation offers you insight of a particular opportunity, your next biggest, best career move and advancement and step is something that's likely to be extended to you. Now, this only kind of just hints to show up this week. It's this weekend on Sunday, so the majority of it will last for 21 days after that, where it benefits you to be really aware of who is in your realm. What are you doing in your realm? Who are you doing it with in your realm, and why it matters? So with a week all about organizing everything to give you more of something else, with letting yourself be more in the spotlight this week, no matter how uncomfortable that might be, using your voice, using it loudly, and preparing for an upcoming opportunity, maybe even controlling what that upcoming opportunity might be. Have you ever thought about how when something like an opportunity shows up in an astrological reading, your horoscope, a natal chart, you can kind of be the orchestrator of that opportunity by being selective of the groups you're in and the company you keep during that time. For example, if from Sunday onwards for the next 21 days, you are around a certain type of person, then you can expect access to or invitation to a certain type of opportunity. So during that time, June 8th through to like June 29th. Position yourself in and around people that are involved with and to do with the things and the themes that you would love to receive an opportunity from. This is true manifesting, accepting what is happening and kind of ushering and shepherding that into a desired outcome based on fate. And if you want to know more about how manifesting and fate works in your chart, how you can determine something and be the controller of what causes that situation some of the time, this is all visible in your personal natal chart. Click the links in the show notes below. This would be best for a 30-minute chart, a 75-minute chart, or a self-development chart where you can go into all the details about how is best to manifest based on your chart. The theme of the week for Libra and Libra rising is expanding your worldview, strengthens your relationships. This week's energy connects learning and teaching and belief systems with other people and with long-term goals. So what you speak, what you teach, what you commit to shapes your next step forward. And how this might show up in your real life. A close relationship, and this is romantic, business, or a contractual or kind of mutual exchange, a mentor relationship even. One of these relationships that you tend to have a one-on-one interaction with may help you see something differently. And this is growth oriented and this is supportive as a connection. So let's say it's your partner. They help you make a better plan for the next few months based on a shared belief or a long-term goal that you both hold in common. Having a conversation in a one-on-one setting leads to a breakthrough in understanding or maybe even reconnection. So this might be a previous partner or a potential partner, a situation where a friendship has had some space between it. If you and someone else has been misaligned, passing like ships in the night, or just something hasn't been adding up, it adds up this week. And it's that person that helps you find the words and the confidence to always move forward, expressing your thoughts and opinions, and understanding that speaking your truth activates your goals. You can't achieve what is meant for you if you are holding the real parts of you back. And so this week, a conversation with a friend, a partner, someone, a reconnection when there's been disconnection, it energizes you in this very visceral way. It energizes you to take action. You become instantly clearer about what you believe. You find the right people, the right groups. You are happy with your vision. It's like this conversation just pushes you to the most perfect level of yourself. So be proactive. Talk to yourself, ask yourself where there has been a disconnect, and it's going to be the first disconnect that comes to your mind. If you close your eyes and say, who am I disconnected with? A list. I'm going to make a list. The first name or the first two names even to your mind are likely to be important. This is the time for you to initiate a conversation that needs to be had. And then after that, it's like everything clears up. You can book travel, you can launch a product, a course, you can make a long-term decision on something that you have really struggled to make a decision on. It's just that this conversation guides you, changes your direction, or it affirms your next step. That's a very positive way of looking at it. It clarifies your next step. It's full of affirmation, and it's your chance to continue actively in this momentum motion towards the big idea that you've either been dancing around or it's always just outside of your grip. So it seems to mean that if there's been any blockage, it's because nothing in your life can progress until this conversation is had. And then, once this conversation is had, which seems to be closer to Sunday, but if you want to initiate that sooner, great. Once this conversation has occurred, the focus shifts. Your career, your stability, your public voice. You are seen by everyone. And you can now start to take the things that you've been working on, the ideas, the things you've been developing, and apply them. Literally, professionally seeing results. This is ideal for asking for promotions, applying for new jobs, strategic announcements of things that you've held back on, refining how you're perceived in your role by doing something in your job slightly different with the purpose of that being appreciated. Now, when you do those things, you are appreciated instead of being forever unappreciated. It's all at the end of this one conversation. And your chart does speak of who this conversation may be with. And if that's something you're interested in, there is a link in the show notes below to explore readings. This would be ideal for having a relationship reading or just an intro into astrology or a 30-minute reading to look at the importance of this interaction with someone else, the conversation, how it may go, when exactly it might happen, and what it means moving forward. Click the link in the notes below. This week for Scorpio and Scorpio rising, the theme is inner clarity leading to empowered decisions. It's about understanding your emotional, financial, and professional needs on a deeper level. What you can uncover by diving deep into those things leads to long-term gains, and how this may show up this week in your real life. This could be receiving an unexpected moment of emotional or financial support through work, from your workplace somehow, from a co-worker, or via to do with a service that you offer. So anything from renegotiating shared responsibilities at work, or this can spill over into a relationship, but it seems to be mainly at work. Renegotiating responsibilities that better reflect your needs. This is putting people in the right position. This is you playing your position strong. This is someone else playing their position strong too. If every team player is in the right part of the team, that team will only ever see victory. So renegotiating shared responsibilities, it's also a great time to invest in wellness and skill building, healing routines that improve your sense of value and stability. This is massage week, this is spa week, this is tending to yourself. This is diving into that short course that you've had your eye on. Something anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks to 6 months is an ideal kind of time frame. And that little bit of self-care and that little bit of doing more of what you love starts to make your daily routines and the heaviness and weight of your, non-negotiable responsibilities. It makes it so much more enjoyable. And if you can take charge of a project, a pitch, if you can take a leadership role somehow this week, if you can elect yourself into that position with confidence, even if you've had doubts, then you find that you confront something sensitive with clarity and authority and you fix it for everybody. You could find that you are in the position to make a strategic career move that positively impacts your financial and emotional self. So it's almost this take on more responsibility in order to show how something is done, to be able to better handle life's responsibilities and have the space to have more fun. You get more clarity on finances, shared finances. So this is a tax issue, this is a debt, inheritance, or maybe a business arrangement. And when that clarity comes, because of taking a leadership role and all the domino effects that this has, then a conversation around trust or intimacy might be on the cards. There is somebody that you need to move forward with already or set a boundary with already. One or the other. And the more you realize what truly holds value for you, emotionally, financially, psychologically, and then you start letting go of what doesn't, it becomes easier to understand if person A or B should be in your inner circle of trust or your outer circle of casual friendships and interactions. This week is a full blend of inner work and outward work for you. This is both education on the external side of things and strengthening your foundations internally. The more you learn, the easier it is to forget things and move forward with someone, or to build a wall of safety. So get to researching courses this week, launch content, make plans tied to future goals and global ideas. And you'll gain mental distance from any recent intensity, and you start to see the purpose in it all. And if that purpose word hits hard for you, which it will always do for Scorpio, because your solar and natal 10th house is in the sign of Leo, knowing your purpose is personal. And discovering your purpose through your natal chart via the nodal configuration where you are in that nodal journey. How many signs away from your north and south node are the current north and south node. And that gives you your 9-year momentum cycle. Every 9 years, the purpose does a flip, or a switch, or a left turn, or it stops. And where you are in that journey is visible in your chart. Click the link in the show notes below. This is ideal for a 30-minute or a 75-minute chart, or even a self-development reading. Explore those below and click what suits you. This week for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, the conversation for you is to do with a particular relationship that requires some honest dialogue. There are many deeper implications of who you partner with, who you like, who you want to like, who you want to like you, who you interact with, who you don't like. All of these relationships have an influence on your emotional and financial life. Now, a little hack of your chart is that the more mature people, or people who are older than you, are likely to bring you more value, and anyone younger you might just not get. You're both philosophical and adventurous, so in essence you're just an old soul. And this week in particular, there might be some kind of spark developing into something more serious within a relationship. There are many types of spark. If it's romantic, it can be the romantic spark of ignited love. It could be a friendship spark, fun in groups, and you might just be drawn to people who bring out your expressive side and your bold side, and it's a very mutually supportive connection. Creative sparks are those brilliant ideas that you share with others and decide to move and act on. So it's a collaborative feeling kind of week. This is showing up particularly creative or professional, and don't forget that a spark can be problematic too. The spark might be caused from friction. So make a mental note of the sparks that feel fulfilling and authentic, and those that feel aggravating and frustrating. This is also a good week for dating. It's a good week to launch a creative project if you already have it going, and just for spending quality time with people who see you for who you really are. You might have an honest talk with someone about a situation. It could be from a point of frustration. And instead of confronting someone directly, seeking advice from a mutual yet neutral party is going to help you the most. This could also show up as a private relationship situation where you might have an honest talk with a partner. You guys got to get on the same page about long-term goals, about how to spend money, about what is valuable. And in the right circumstances, this is the week to make progress on a shared vision, especially in a romantic or some kind of contractual relationship. A significant realization, offer, or turning point could show up in one of the key partnerships in your life. So full spectrum is romantic, business, or legal. A combination of those things might be the case. For example, a romantic or business partner might be experiencing legal situations if those legal situations aren't experienced by you yourself. And seeking professional advice if needed expands your perspective. It helps you deal with things in a meaningful way, especially if something of somebody else's doing is impacting you. It's the ideal week for negotiations and proposals and getting clarity with optimism on this mutual matter. And after this whole week of outward connection, your thoughts shift to your personal security foundations. So your emotional, your financial connections with others. The weekend might see you begin to sort out a shared resource, a joint commitment, or something that is entangled with another. This makes a conversation become much more intense. Or perhaps it's just a private conversation. And by Sunday, you're ready to go beneath the surface with someone about something that was said earlier in the week. True clarity comes at the week's end, so don't overthink your way through these next few days. Or if you're someone who's been considering a reading, you can explore the clarity that your natal chart brings. I've included the links and the details of the readings in the show notes below. The theme of the week for Capricorn and Capricorn rising is tangible results. This week asks you to blend emotional grounding with focused work and your personal private clarity. It's about making sure your daily life aligns with your deeper needs. It's about getting a really good structure, energy structure, and organization structure to prepare to show up more powerfully, which is being called of you. So, based on that theme, what does this week look like? A home or family adjustment that leads to better daily routines, that leads to improved health, more satisfying work life balance. It might be a private or emotional breakthrough that improves how you show up in your daily responsibilities. You just feel more supported in your living situation, and that helps you focus better on your wellness and your work goals. A peaceful home environment restores your energy and helps you perform more steadily. And maybe this comes from your initiation. Maybe it's you that takes practical action on something that feels emotionally charged within you, something you want resolved. Starting therapy, resolving a debt, setting boundaries, setting the rules. This is laying down the law. And it's within the realm of a conversation about responsibilities. And these responsibilities are either at home or at work. You yourself have better energy and focus to tackle difficult tasks and to also approach a well needed conversation about these responsibilities with emotional honesty. And because of that, a solution may actually emerge. The solution may come around this work or personal life wellness issue that's been draining your energy. You could have this big insight about how to structure things better, how to support mental and physical well-being. It's like a message or realization helps you let go of hidden pressures and guilt and reclaim more productivity. So it seems like this is the week to improve your workflow, to clear your inbox, to implement a new system for clarity and peace of mind. And after focusing on all this private work and inner clarity, you are now prepared to engage in meaningful agreements with others. You become more articulate and confident in expressing expectations, expressing details with a collaborator, and conversations then begin to have this potential of real, true alignment in your business professional world. Which, if you know that the air needs to be cleared somewhere, then you are not wrong. You are 100% feeling this professional potential, and understanding how your home life is incredibly vital in managing this. And you can go one step more, preparing yourself with a detailed timeline of dates 3, 6, 9, 12 months in the future of what to expect and when. It's as they say, prevention is better than cure. So if you can be aware in advance, then you can take the most control. Honor your birthright to be in a position of authority. The best kind of reading for you right now would be a self-development reading or a 30-minute mixed reading. A little bit of self-development, a little bit of predictions. So support yourself. Go ahead, click the link in the show notes below. The theme this week for Aquarius and Aquarius rising is creative conversations that lead to visible support. This week focuses on communication that sparks joy. This is not difficult to have conversations. This isn't deep, perusing conversations. This is a conversation that is pure pleasure. And it's conversations with people who fuel your talents, who recognizes you, who lifts you up. It's the people whose attention does not break when you are talking. So the way that this theme shows up in literal real life possibilities this week, you may write or post or say something that grabs some attention from someone and they run with it. And it continues into this conversation where it turns into a collaborative potential. Maybe even an opportunity to take a spontaneous short trip or an opportunity for an outing. It's this playful and fun or flirty opportunity that evolves into something deeper. So if you're finding yourself wondering whether to speak up or not this week, holding back when there's some kind of debate going on that you are passionate about, if you usually stop yourself from making the bold statement, then don't. This week, exude honesty. And when you speak, there might be some possible tension, but it definitely brings clarity. You could receive an invitation to speak, teach, present, or perform in a social situation, in a club situation, on an online platform. And it might even be an idea that you've been toying with, an idea where you've been toying with using your voice in ways that are exciting and maybe a little bit nervous. Your ideas, your efforts gain so much traction if you are publishing, posting, entertaining, or expressing something. It can spread way more quickly than expected. This is that viral kind of energy. So it's important that this week you shift from over analysis and brainstorming and go more into creative play and executing. What is it that you've been holding back on doing? What creative talent or project have you been holding back on doing? This might not be the time to launch into that, but there are most likely pre-steps. So these small steps that you can take along the way. For example, if podcasting is an idea of yours, and that especially comes up for Aquarius right now due to the vocal development, all of your recent horoscopes have been about using your voice. And so, if podcasting has been an idea or some other equal expressive thing, then starting a podcast doesn't have to be the step you take now. You could apply to be a guest interviewed on a podcast. You can look for freelance work scripting podcasts. You could probably just listen to a whole bunch of podcasts, binging them back to back to back to back. And from this, you gain so much clarity. And it shifts you away from the analysis paralysis that disrupts your workflow. Because sometimes you need to think less and do more. So if you relate to this, if you know that it's time to bring your creativity out, and you just want confirmation, affirmation, or even direction on what your chart says about this, check the readings in the show notes below. The ideal reading would be a 30-minute reading with a blended focus on self-development and predictions. The link for that is below. The theme of the week for Pisces and Pisces rising is to do with foundational upgrades, creating future security. So it's a week activating your core values, your home base, because these things determine your long-term direction. So you're being asked to secure what matters, to clean up your systems, and to invest in what is worth you sustaining. So how does that theme show up in literal real life possibilities? You might spend money on home upgrades, quite simply. You might improve the decor, you might spend on family needs, appliances, things that bring comfort and stability. Or maybe this shows up as a parent or a mentor supporting you in a career or business decision. It may even show up as a financial opportunity that arises through real estate, through a home started business, business from home, or a family connection. And it helps you feel more confident about your long-term career goals because your foundation feels more secure. A well-needed conversation with a family member about daily routines, responsibilities, and health, household tasks, home maintenance, or just this like kind of cleaning sprint helps you feel mentally clear and physically productive. It's especially important if you work from home or you want to or plan to work from home, because in the not too distant future, a work from home opportunity may emerge. So, a discussion about income and chores and home based obligations feels urgent, because it is urgent, because having that conversation this week leads to immediate better structures. And if it's not you initiating this family vibe, then some big family news itself, or a major household decision like moving, renovating, someone who lives with you changes in their life or their direction. Maybe they move out, maybe someone moves in. It's a breakthrough realization about your home, which then leads to thinking about your roots, your upbringing, and your personal needs. Because your personal needs shape your public experience. There is a huge connection between home and professional life for Pisces, and it's not in the same way that this connection shows up for Cancer and Capricorn, where they make business through home and through trauma and through heritage, through medicine, through food, or through the literal buying and selling of land. Pisces, this is a business from within the home. This is having a data-based, information-based, number-based, or education-based business. For example, it could be as simple as an English tutor or a language tutor, a writer, a blogger, something from home where you tell a story, which means it could even be, this might be the phase of life where if you ever wanted to write a movie, you would have so much cosmic support, not in just successfully writing the movie, but getting it seen, getting it in front of the right people, and having it picked up. Home and success mean a lot to you, and the way to have both is to understand their blending. And so this could be sharing a family story, this could be publishing a family story, this could be telling your story. This very well may be some kind of biographical thing, a memoir. It's a legacy building message that does resonate with others. And now is the time to share it, because this is the best time for it to be received. And if that is sparking an idea for a passion project, if it's something you've already been thinking about, then know that from this week onwards, it begins to take a much more clearer form. And you can begin mapping out the day-to-day habits and the workflows to make a big, massive dream sustainable. So if you know that you are on the precipice of something very joyful, and if you have this passion project and you just want to know the timeline, how long you've got, how long does this window of opportunity last, when will it end? Knowing the timeline really helps you pace yourself correctly. Not doing too much too quickly and burning out, but not leaving it too late and missing out. The ideal reading for this would be a blended reading, the 30-minute reading or the 75-minute reading, which looks at a good mixture of self-development and timelines, so forecasting. Those two readings support development immensely, and the link is in the show notes below.